The life of John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, often called JFK, was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, a small town in the United States. He was the second child in a family of 9 children. His parents, Joseph and Rose Kennedy, were very rich and wanted their children to be well educated and successful. The Kennedy family was famous for being hardworking and ambitious. As a child, John was not very healthy. He often got sick and had to spend many days in bed. Even though he was not strong, he loved to read books. He enjoyed stories about history, politics, and leaders who changed the world. John had a curious mind and always asked many questions. John went to some of the best schools in America. He later attended Harvard University, where he studied political science. While at Harvard, he wrote a thesis about why England was not ready for World War II. This thesis was later published as a book called Why England Slept. It became very popular and showed that John was a talented writer and thinker. After graduating from Harvard, World War II began. John decided to join the U.S. Navy in 1941. He became the captain of a small boat called PT-109. In 1943, during a mission in the Pacific Ocean, his boat was hit by an enemy ship. John acted bravely to save his crew. He helped injured men and swam many miles to bring them to safety. For his courage, he received a medal and became a war hero. When the war ended, John returned home and thought about what to do next. He decided to follow his father's advice and enter politics. In 1946, he ran for Congress in Massachusetts and won. At just 29 years old, he became a congressman. He worked hard to help the people in his district. In 1953, John was elected to the U.S. Senate. Around the same time, he married Jacqueline Bouvier, a smart and elegant woman. Jackie, as people called her, became very popular because of her style and charm. John and Jackie had 3 children, Caroline, John Jr., and Patrick. Sadly, Patrick died as a baby, which was a difficult time for the family. As a senator, John focused on important issues like education, healthcare, and foreign policy. He believed that America should lead the world in peace and innovation. In 1956, he almost became the vice presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. Even though he was not chosen, he became very well known in American politics. In 1960, John decided to run for president. His opponent was Richard Nixon, the vice president at the time. The election campaign was intense, and people were excited to see 2 strong candidates. For the first time in history, presidential debates were shown on television. John's calm and confident appearance impressed many viewers. In November 1960, John F. Kennedy won the election and became the 35th President of the United States. At just 43 years old, he was the youngest president ever elected and the first Catholic president. His youth and energy brought hope to many Americans. As president, John faced many challenges. One of the biggest events during his presidency was the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The Soviet Union tried to place nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the United States. This caused great fear around the world. John worked hard to avoid a nuclear war. Through careful negotiation, he convinced the Soviet Union to remove the missiles. His leadership during this crisis was admired worldwide. John also supported civil rights for African Americans. At that time, many people in the U.S. faced discrimination because of their skin color. John believed that all people should be treated equally. He introduced new laws to protect civil rights and worked to end segregation in schools and public places. John dreamed of a better future for America. He wanted the U.S. to lead in science, education, and space exploration. In 1961, he started the Apollo program and promised to send a man to the moon before the end of the decade. In a famous speech, he said, "We choose to go to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard." His words inspired a generation of scientists and explorers. However, John's time as president was cut short. On November 22, 1963, while riding in a car during a parade in Dallas, Texas, he was shot and killed. His death shocked the world and left Americans heartbroken. John was only 46 years old. After his death, people remembered John F. Kennedy as a leader who brought hope, courage, and new ideas. His wife, Jackie, worked hard to keep his legacy alive. She called his presidency Camelot, a symbol of a magical and idealistic time. John F. Kennedy is still remembered today as one of America's most inspiring leaders. His life shows the power of determination, courage, and the desire to make the world a better place.